Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of
Watches and Whiskey.
Watches and Whiskey.
So what are we drinking today, Roman?
I brought a bourbon, one of the oldest bourbons out there, Michter's in 1763. You know how much I love history. Quick trivia question for you. What makes a bourbon a bourbon?
Kentucky.
Thank you. So you remembered, yeah. So
remember.
It's not a whiskey, it's a bourbon. It can only be a bourbon if it was distilled in Kentucky. Much like Scotch, Scotland, Champagne, and Champagne, France. And
no, because whiskey can be made in Japan, whiskey can be made...
Right.
Yeah.
But Scotch can only be made in Scotland, as well as Champagne and Champagne, or Epernay, France, as well as Cognac, France, right?
That's right.
Anyway, a little bit of alcohol trivia for it, so cheers to
Cheers to that.
Let me know what you think it is. This will grow hair on your palms.
Why is it spicy?
It's delicious.
So,
Not quite the Blue Label kick.
exactly. Well, bourbons, especially the rye bourbons, tend to be a bit sweeter, a little more flavorful, a bit different from other whiskeys and scotches that you're used to. But I'm a big fan of bourbons. I have a huge collection at home. But it's not what the show is about. So what do they put on the desk for us today? Top favorite watches to have come out in 2020. Can I start?
You can start.
AP. Skeleton Perpetual. Ceramic.
That was 2019.
AP. White Ceramic Perpetual Ceramic.
Also 2019.
No, the Skeleton Perpetual came out in 20.
No.
Nope.
I saw it in Dubai in 2019.
Okay, then you start.
Since it's so fresh on my mind, I would probably have to go with the new RM6501 release. And you know I'm going to go big or go home. Because
Retail price is what?
Retail price is $310,000
For a chronograph, mind you.
It's a split-second chronograph.
Excuse me, for a split-second chronograph?
Actually, RM's first in-house split-second chronograph.
Split-second chronograph was what put Richard Mille on the map horologically, even though it wasn't
their movement. Yeah.
But the 04 split-second, the OG, as well as the 08, which is the tourbillon, that was the one split-second chronograph that put him on the map because it was the first split-second chronograph that only had one. What is it called? Thank you. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Ian.
Yes, that. You were just offered one for how much?
$900,000. Triple retail price. And I'll be honest with you, it's probably not too far off on what it's going to bring when it comes out.
It's insane.
Double guarantee. Double retail guarantee. I'm going to
do another one and I'll do a couple, so we'll have a total of 4.
I'm going to go with the Rafael Nadal 2704 Richard Mille tourbillon. Now, this isn't the best looking out of his not only tourbillon,
I think the original one
series.
is the best looking one.
It's one. Well, that
not a fan of the Ronald McDonald one.
I was gonna actually get to that. It's first of all, he wore it in the French Open, which he won again. I'm obviously a big
surprise. Nadal won the French Open.
I'm a big tennis guy, and his tourbillon line from Richard Mille is actually my favorite tourbillon line that Richard Mille does, from the 27 to the 2701 to the 2702. Even the Ronald McDonald one, I actually think it's pretty dope. And going to the 2704, I think it's sick. It's got like a tennis net cage in that bitch.
Okay, I'm going to go with Cold 1159. Yes, I said it. Cold 1159. I'm going to go
Flying Turb?
I'm going to go with the Skeleton Flying tourbillon that they just made. I think it's one of the most ridiculous, dressier looking tourbillons out there from AP. Surprised I did not pick a Royal Oak. I thought the Skeleton Perpetual came out in 2020.
No.
Was it late 2019?
Very, very late 2019. But they did just come out with the ceramic double balance.
Right, I saw the ceramic double balance. I love that, but I can't really call it my favorite of 2020 because we're not really. I'm trying to go back, and I am going to go back and say that the new OP line from Rolex, the colorful dials. Those things were made aftermarket for so long, and finally Rolex caught up. Pretty much in the likes of, this is the red guy. I brought it here because I actually wanted you to show you this red live. It's like a coral red, and actually it's just much better looking in person than it is on pictures. So I'm going to take that whole line, the turquoise, aka the Tiffany dial, the coral dial, the red dial, all those colorful dials, the green, the blue, everything that Rolex came out with, I'm going to take that as a whole, and I'm going to say that was probably my favorite release from Rolex just because it's fun. It's accessible for young, for old, for ladies, for males. It's just a cool watch, and I'm finally glad to see Rolex catching up and paying attention to guys that were doing aftermarket stuff all this time. All right, so enough of the favorites. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we bought, right? A lot of staples this time around.
Yep.
Rolex.
Oyster Flex Daytona?
Daytona. Personally, as much as I hate white gold watches and I prefer rose, this would not be my favorite Oyster Flex. I would go with the white gold with that grayish dial, I think. But definitely, what's the market price on these new now?
New, around $36,000.
And what's the retail?
Retail is just under 30. If I'm not
Just under
mistaken.
30.
Yeah.
Speaking of staples, the green Daytona,
Yep.
obviously. It's like it's very rarely that I get to show these on the show because what happens
In and
is
out.
they're going in and out. We just actually this one's sold already. Anna
Yep.
sold it to Anna sold it to a YouTube fan, I believe.
Oh, yeah?
So if you're
Well,
watching,
congratulations.
this is going
Yeah.
to you. Very tough to hold on to these and stuff. They literally go in and out.
Yeah.
Speaking of staples, love the dial on this day date.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love the dial on this day date. I've always liked diamond watches, but I feel like the diamond indices, especially the baguette indices on Rolex, give you that subtle bling without going too bling.
It's
And,
absolutely
retail?
perfect. Retail, what the retail price on it?
No, the retail price on it.
Like we said with Rolex today, retail price is the market price.
Yeah, right.
So I know they just changed it. It's probably somewhere around the 42,000 mark.
I cannot see that. 41. Can you see that? It's just as blind as
41,000.
41,000. And the
And
market
I
price on
believe
it
that
is?
actually might be incorrect. I think it just went up again.
Okay, so what's the market price?
on one like this, 2016.
This is
Actually,
pre. This is new old stock from 2016.
new old stock. So this is a $37,000 watch today.
So
in the
not much
market.
of a discount, even
Right.
though technically the watch is new, but it's still
Yeah.
5 years old.
Yep.
So this I'm excited about. This is till today my favorite perpetual calendar from IWC. All right, this is the
Name your second favorite.
my second favorite probably some of the special editions that they made in rose gold, the big pilots, right? They had the Tourneau, you had the Boucheron, you had the all black ceramic PVD. I do like
I was waiting
the
for
big
you. I
pilots.
was waiting for you to choke there, but I guess you
I
didn't.
don't choke. No,
On
sorry,
point.
sorry. But this Portuguese, this watch came out quite a while ago. I've sold so many of these over the years, and it still looks wise. Again, rose gold black dial combination is amazing. I think the way they lay out the perpetual calendar with IWC is amazing because it just takes up all the real estate, but does it in a way where the watch is not too busy. Showing off the back.
Yep.
I mean, it's a go-to, and again, it's a watch that still trades under $20,000, so you can't really beat it. That's why anytime I get a chance to
Absolute.
get these, I certainly pick them up.
Absolute great bang for your buck for sure.
5980 that you bought, the two-tone.
Two-tone.
It's just, I still don't understand why this
Love
watch.
it.
Still don't understand why this
Love
watch
it.
is none over $100,000.
It's what do you mean it's not?
What is it at?
It's about 100. Yeah,
It's about
100,000.
100, but it's not like 170, 180 like the
No.
gold version. It's
No.
not 100 like the stainless steel
Well,
version.
it's not full gold.
I get it, but it doesn't make sense to me that the stainless steel version sells for pretty much the same price as the two-tone, where I think that is probably one of the best two-tone
the
looking watches.
it's stainless steel Sky Dwellers trade for over
Get
two-tone
it.
Sky Dwellers.
But is that not one of the best two-tone? Forget that it's Patek. Forget that it's a 5980. Is that not one of the best two-tone watches out there? Looks-wise?
Absolutely, positively 100% yes.
Exactly.
And as a matter of fact, it's number one to me. I'm not a big two-tone guy. I don't think any of us are. But
Your father has this watch. He's
he
been
does.
wearing it for
Yes, he does.
many years.
Yes, he does.
By the way, the market price on this is 100. We found your dad one for what, 61? I think he paid.
No, there was a mistake made actually by me. This was a couple. This was a couple. This is
It
probably,
becomes another story. Is this a different
No,
segment?
this is. I mean, listen. We were at a trade show in Hong Kong, and we have a fellow dealer. His name is Pietro, actually, Italian guy, and he had, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them in his showcase. And my dad's like, "Oh, I really like this watch." At the time he had a full gold Nautilus 5980 on, and basically he's like, the price at that time was like 53,000, 54,000. He's like, "Should I buy it for myself?" And I said, "Nah, what do you need another gold Nautilus for? Let's get you something else." Blah blah blah. Make a long story short, within 6 months that thing went up 50%. And he,
Your dad ended up paying how much for his?
61. He
61.
was still
He was
golden.
still good. He was about,
golden,
at the
yeah.
time the market was like 65,
Yeah.
70. He got one
Yeah.
for 61.
Yeah.
But he's doing better now anyway. One of the things that you did pick up that I talked about in my previous shows is the Turnograph.
Oh, the Turnograph.
This is one of the watches that I've talked to you guys numerous times about as being that sleeper. What are we selling this for?
$7,000.
$7,000. Box papers or no?
Yeah, full set.
Full set box papers, pre-owned, $7,000. Tell me what Rolexes are out there today. Decent Rolexes for $7,000. There are none. A year ago, when I talked about this watch, you could have picked up a two-tone Turnograph for $4,500.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's already up to $7,000. The stainless
Yep.
steels were out there for $2,500, and today that was a $4,500.
More. Yeah.
More even.
Yeah.
So this is when I tell you guys about these sleepers. I love when these things come back at a higher price. It just goes to prove the point that yes, there's plenty of watches out there that are sleepers today, but they do end up damn near doubling in value over a couple of years time. And I talked about this almost 2 years ago actually about these things. Oldie but goodie you bought. Love that watch.
Chrono.
It's one of those
Absolutely.
things where I've always found myself hard deciding, do I like the one on the strap better than the bracelet? What's your call?
Bracelet all day.
Yes,
And I obviously did a video review on
Right.
on why I hated it on the strap, but the bracelet.
For me, I mean, this is the first 41 millimeter Royal Chrono. This one came out with a black dial, then they came out with a white dial, and then they came out with the one on the bracelet. They usually start strap, then go bracelet. What's the market price on that today?
So in a condition like this, full set, I believe is 2015 piece. It's around 39,000 market price.
So it's 40 grand, and again,
Yeah.
mind you, around the time these came out, pre-owned, they were trading in the mid to high 20s.
Way lower.
Mid to high 20s
Way
is what they
lower.
were, right? And so this watch has gone up quite a bit, and rightfully so, because you know what? Even though this is an older model in comparison to some of the newer Royal Oaks, it still stands the test of time. To me personally, black and rose is a knockout combination.
Always.
Here's a surprise. This diver has gone up tremendously.
Yeah.
When they came out of the gate, well, I shouldn't say that. When they came out of the gate, they were trading slightly higher. Then they started trading slightly lower. What's this trading at today, brand new today?
Brand new 23,000.
And we're talking about up from.
This is a watch that I picked up a couple of years ago, pre-owned in the 13s. I mean, it's
exactly.
crazy.
So this is a nice surprise. And you know what? I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. I talked about the diver before. It's sort of that in between offshore, right? Where you're not quite in the chronograph range and it's still under that $20,000 price range retail-wise. And I think this was a good move for AP, and they're going to continue making these. And personally, it's a good-looking combo.
Good-looking watch, yeah. Absolutely. Actually, the all-white ceramic diver, that thing is absolutely sick.
One just brought 57,000 in auction.
Easy. Yeah.
All right, the last auction brought 57,000.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It's
It's a good-looking watch, but it's insane. That price, I think,
that's
is
actually
insane.
a piece on my.
It was a $35,000 watch.
Yeah.
Right, and it brought 57. It's insane.
Yeah.
I think that price is a little insane. Speaking of last but not least, here's something a little oddball. Oh, look, Roman, you brought a piece of jewelry to a watch show. No, it's the 𝘼𝙀𝙎𝙊 Serpentine secret watch. This is actually a watch. It's part of their high jewelry collection. Very limited production. You guys can see that. I don't know. Can you see the actual watch? Let's try this. Here we go. I don't think anybody buys this watch to exactly tell time. It is a beautiful piece of jewelry. We have comparable bracelets that we've sold over the years that are full pavé. There's really no market price on this. Maybe it's a few auction results. I know you're working with a private client on this, and you pulled up an auction result. What did it let's fetch in auction?
175 in auction.
175 in auction, and the retail on this we don't really know.
Based on the retail of
there's a comparable piece right now on there with like rubies and stuff like that, and that was like 375 or 305 actually. Right. So we would imagine this is also around. This is probably around that 250 mark because it doesn't have as many diamonds. The fact that it fetched 175 in auction just goes back to what I always said about 𝘼𝙀𝙎 jewelry. I think they just knock it out of the park every time, and people buy these things just because they're drop dead.
It's my absolute favorite brand of jewelry. Not that I wear jewelry,
and I'm the same way. I told you that this numerous times.
It's the sickest jewelry.
What are you wearing?
I am wearing the 5167R.
So you're wearing the watch I wore last episode.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, I always pick these up because I just think they look great and they sell great, and there's always demand for it. So
remember in the last episode I said, look, I've never been an Aquanaut fan, but I put that watch on when we taped the last episode because
it grows on you. It grows.
Yeah, that's one I can deal with, the rose and the chocolate. I got on the Blue Perpetual.
Blue Perpetual.
AP.
Sick.
41 millimeters. Again, a little big on me.
Probably to me the most aesthetically pleasing watch on the market. Better yet, I don't know if I can name any watches on the market that look better than that.
Are you talking about perpetuals?
Because the perpetuals, I love perpetuals simply because of all the stuff that's going on the dial from the.
But honestly, what, $100,000, $120,000 versus $20,000? Let's see. See, you know, I love all watches regardless of price, but put the two together, I think aesthetically both are just as pleasing. Yes, granted, this is a Royal Oak and blah 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 blah.
You don't think that?
But I do. I actually really do think that. I think aesthetically they're both just as pleasing. Again, sportier, dressier, although this is bigger, but whatever. Anyway, let's move on.
This is actually a fair comparison right here. I always put these on my Instagram to compare. Rose gold on rubber straps. It's funny because this is a chronograph, and this is just a date function, and this is basically
my case in point, and this is double the price.
Double the price, yeah.
Put it back down. Nautiluses.
Aquanauts.
Aquanauts. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. All right. So one of the things that's not on this is Phillips Auction.
Phillips Auction.
Me and you called some numbers.
Yes.
We were more or less dead on with.
We were spot on with estimations. Not the results.
Yeah, the results were insane. I think the most insane RM that I saw was the RM32. What did it fetch all in?
It was, I believe, it was
157
it
or
was
100.
151. Obviously, not including the buyer's premium.
It was insane.
The
It was.
premium.
It hammered a double what we would have paid.
Listen, I can just pull it up right now, real quick.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
You actually took some screenshots of this
Yeah.
earlier. So we have RM32 sold for 151,000.
200. Yeah.
That's insane.
Again, it's obviously Stallone's watch.
But it's double than what this watch is worth.
But-
And this is a dog still, in my eyes. Even as hot as Richard Mille's market is
I
today.
know.
it's
I actually really like them.
Here's a good one: a Rolex, Pepsi GMT.
This is the one that blew my mind. Listen, the premium that people are willing to pay for Stallone's watches, if you're a very rich guy, is what it is. I get it; it's overinflated. But to pay $21,000 for a Pepsi GMT, regular Pepsi GMT, used.
How much can you sell one for today?
Forget about selling you. Forget about selling it used. You as a buyer, you're on Phillips, trying to buy this piece. You just click in Pepsi GMT on the freaking Google. There's 5,000 of them. You can buy for $19,000 listed online or whatever. So that
I was
blows my
super
mind.
impressed with the $2.2 million Hooer. Obviously, the historic.
Yeah, what is that about?
Well, you're not into this kind of stuff, but the historic significance behind this watch is.
Oh, I'm about it. If I could buy a watch like that in an auction for $2 million, you better believe I'm behind that.
Okay, so if you could afford to spend $2 million,
No. I'm not saying I would like to sell
would
the
this be the
watch.
watch you would have bought?
No, I would like to sell the watch.
Okay. All right.
I'll just
This
sell
is
it.
a very pleasant surprise to me. The AP skeleton tourbillon, the old school tourbillon, for $352,000. I think this price is justified, and I would even go as far as saying this is a bit underpriced.
That's not like mind-blowingly crazy, but like I
think
hear
it's
what you're
underpriced
saying. Yeah,
because
I
if
mean,
you consider that a skeleton perpetual platinum today is $200,000, the perpetual. The
Correct.
39 millimeter. This watch is in that same realm, and it's a tourbillon automatic.
Yep.
To me, this was underpriced. Like I don't see why this watch should not have fetched $400,000. I mean, that's just me. And this is a watch that for the longest time you could buy in that $50,000 to $60,000, $70,000 price range. And I told people this is going to be one of those next collectibles. And
believe it or not, I actually never seen that watch. Another one is the 5726A that fetched $75,000. That's just bananas.
What's that worth going for?
I mean, but people don't factor in the premium that they pay in the auctions.
yeah, it's,
on
you
top
get carried
of that,
away and it's not just the premium, it's the taxes, it's the premium on top of that. It's just there's a lot of hidden fees.
I mean, to an end user, this watch new was about $65,000.
What did the big boy fetch? The big tourbillon RM25.
Over $1 million.
And if that client that paid $1 million or $1.2 million, let's say, with fees for that
Yeah.
watch, brought that watch to you today, what would you buy it for?
Again, I probably pay $600,000. I mean, that, like I said, that is probably the hardest tourbillon Richard Mille to sell on the market today. The one that just dropped me completely was the 15202 ST. That was like, it had like Prince Albert engraving on it. Had like a piece of paperwork that said it was like owned by Prince Albert. Like, cool, Prince of Monaco.
How much did it fetch?
Respect. Over $167,000.
That's just insane. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. And the thing of it is that
So you know what that did, right? Is that all of a sudden, because people saw this Phillips auction, that this watch brought $167,000 Prince Albert's
all of a
watch.
sudden 15202
All of a sudden,
through the
regular
roof.
15202 just went like this.
Which doesn't make it like. Look, I can agree and not agree with a lot of those things. A lot of people ask me these things, and I always tell them, look, odds are at the end of the day, because this is a watch, nobody's going to care as much for the provenance. But when you get crazy provenance like Prince Albert in a gun world, in a gun auctions, a couple of weeks
I
ago.
met Prince Albert.
Yeah. How old were you? You were like
I was a kid. I met Prince Albert. He's a cool dude, but
It was at you and your dad were at the tennis club and or something.
it was
It was something Monte Carlo's tennis club or something. You guys, there was a concert or something.
It was the club.
Perhaps that's that. What the club was. Yes.
Tennis club.
Yes, the tennis club. Your dad tells that story over and over and over. I've heard that story about 40,000 times.
Maxine sat on his lap.
Yeah, his younger sister. Maxine, she sat on his lap, and he was so nice.
Actually, true story.
It is a true story, and he tells it over and over and over. But the gun auction a couple of weeks at Rock Island, right? Teddy Roosevelt gun brought all in. It brought about over $1.6 million. Now, I think that when you look at things like guns, and Teddy Roosevelt, who was a man's man, who was an avid hunter, a president, he's on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a man's man. I mean, if you don't want to be like Teddy, I don't know who you want to be like, right? And I can see how, in that industry, especially because I do follow that industry as well, that makes a hell of a difference. In the watches, I found that unless it's somebody really, really, really important, that it doesn't really raise that price that much. A gun that was sold, in a nice condition, that gun without having any provenance to Teddy Roosevelt or something like that, that would be a $45,000 gun. Because this was Teddy Roosevelt's gun. It's when, and I talked about this in one of my episodes before, it's when the importance of the person that the item is tied to by far outweighs the item itself.
Absolutely.
Where here, Prince Albert, I would say Prince Albert by far outweighs the importance of the 15202 Royal Oak, right? Maybe not as much as Teddy Roosevelt outweighs the value of that Colt that was sold. But it's all. But then people call me, it's like, oh yeah, Ben Affleck had this watch in this movie, and he wore it there. There's a certificate, or this was used on a set of such and such movie. It doesn't really. You don't have that humongous disparity in price when you have somewhat famous people. It's when that particular person that's tied to that item, be it a gun, be it a watch, or whatever it might be, is so significant where the item itself almost loses significance.
As you were saying this, I was thinking about like the 2704 that I had mentioned earlier. If let's say the market price stays $1 million on it, and Nadal went to auction it off, the one that he won wearing the French Open, to some, like, let's say some COVID relief fund or something like that, I bet you it would bring 50% over market.
Absolutely, but
If
again,
not more.
it's about the fit, right? You have Rafael Nadal. It's his tourbillon that was made to play tennis in. He's an iconic tennis figure. Yes, I understand that. How many watches do you think Prince of Monaco has?
I probably a lot.
I'll probably say his watch.
100 at least.
I'm sure his watch collection is so impressive. So it's not that. Now when you pinpoint it to that one watch that he wore, which is probably going to say 101 or made for Rafael Nadal or something like that, right? And that was the watch that you saw. That's a lot more significant. So it's a hit or miss then. And again, should that watch fetched over $100,000 because it's Prince of Monaco? Yes, a lot of followers of him in Europe that love the guy and everything he stands for, etc. But not one I would go for. If I were to go for something super significant on an item, let's say like a watch.
So you're saying that 3 times the market price sounds about reasonable for Prince Albert?
I think that watch. What if
it was like Putin's watch?
Vladimir Putin's?
Yeah. Well, what do you think?
Again, it's one. Well,
Putin's 15202. That should bring. Damn near. If that shit didn't.
No,
bring
you would have all the guys in Russia, all the oligarchs that lick his ass up and down, bidding that watch up through the roof, especially if it was a charity. But because you probably would have made them. But anyway, what I'm saying is that you kind of have to find that happy medium. I think the right price for that watch would probably be 20 to 30% over market price. So I can see that watch fetching $85,000. I think that's reasonable. Over 100. Whoever decides to go out.
That's damn near 200.
I know, but what I'm saying is, if anybody wants to sell that watch today, quickly, it's not liquid. It's only liquid going back into auction, and then you have to get lucky and hope that the market is hot enough and people still want to.
That's actually a very interesting thing about auctions, because I'm in some of the dealer auctions that happens, and I've actually found myself in that same mindset where
you get caught up.
I get caught up. I found myself bidding on things that I had no business bidding on, that I really didn't know what they were worth, only because the guy right next to me was offering $100 less. So I'm thinking, well, if he's willing to pay that, then maybe it's worth this, Yeah, and that's what happens. And that's what happens in these auctions, because if somebody would offer, like I made an auction on some watch, let's say it was like $20,000, right? If somebody offered me that watch for $20,000, I would say no. But because I saw the guy bid $19,500, I'm like 20, It's funny how that works.
This happens in a room. That Colt, I was bidding on that Colt. I stopped at $1.2 million. No, I didn't. But I was watching that Colt, and that Colt was estimated $450 to $575, something like that, right? It got up to $575, and it kind of slowed down, and then it was 2 guys in a room, literally, because I watched it live. It was 2 guys in a room that were going against each other. It was a slow, painstaking process that took quite a bit of time. It wasn't really fast. And back and forth in $25,000 increments and $50,000 and $100,000, and it just went up and up and up and up. And then you got to consider, look, somebody who's bidding on that watch at $1.5 million, let's say, it's not exactly their last paycheck, right? Or they're not depleting their savings account. So now it becomes an ego thing where here's this guy in the room, 1.4, and it's going to take you 1,450. I think the increments were 50,000 towards the end. It's going to take 1,450 to buy this thing, and you're like, well, I'm not letting it go at this point. I've gotten this far. And I've done this so many times, and I've overpaid for shit. And it's listen, this is the nature of the auction. All right, we got I got a good video reaction for you. But first, the boys picked some comments off the YouTube.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
A word from our sponsors. So we had some comments on here. Some weren't exactly.
Some of our fellow YouTubers say we don't drink enough. So
Okay.
cheers to that.
Drink.
Very sweet, this bourbon.
Do I, boys? Really? Did you? I didn't read these yet. This is bad.
What we got
Low
here?
key.
Oh, let me
Adrian's hairline looks like the iPhone notch. Everybody know what the iPhone notch is?
Really, bro? That's all you got?
So that's
iPhone notch? You
that's
couldn't
that's
do better than
this
that?
this is that thing right there. That's the iPhone notch. See how you got that black notch right here? You guys need to stop making fun
Couldn't
of
do better
Adrian.
than that.
All right. I'm disappointed. You both drank less than a bottle.
Oh,
He
going back.
just said it.
well,
The
cheers
to-
to that.
this is on Watches and Whiskey. That Tony Montana impression LMFAO at 32.53. We can play that back. I told you, man.
Oh, my.
You look like a tiger, man. But anyway, in this country, first you get the money. Once you get the money, you get the power. Once you get the power, then you get the pussy. That good?
I just hope Ian zooms in on your face.
Well, you're supposed to have that crooked ass face or whatever.
Why don't we call out the people who are writing these comments?
Let's not.
Let's do it.
They're calling us out, right? A Russian drinking scotch. What the fuck is going on here? We're refined Russians. A, he was born here, number one. B, I was a kid when I came over here. And honestly, I don't remember. You remember last time you even drank vodka?
Actually, last night. Believe it or not.
Oh, there you have it. I haven't had vodka in a while. I do enjoy vodka, but it's usually when I'm those Russian spas and stuff. And
No,
you know,
it's just that
we'll beat each other with sticks
We
and all
had
that
it
stuff.
was my mother-in-law. It was her birthday, so we had like a Russian meal. So
Yeah, I had to have
vodka.
vodka. There's certain meals that we reach for vodka.
Absolutely. What else we got here?
I can't
Let me
even read.
read
I
some
can't
of
even. I
these.
can't even read that one.
You
I'm sorry.
with your
I can't even read that one.
goggles.
You sure you want to read that one?
Please stop bringing elephant ears on the show.
Ooh, low blow.
All right, D. Stifle.
His ears are not that
I'm
big.
more handsome than you without ears. How about that?
What else you got?
Roman, what's up with there's something about Mary hairstyle? P.S. Like your videos. Thank you, Boris.
Something about Mary hairstyle?
The fact that Boris watches something about Mary.
I watched that movie. That's a funny movie.
No, I know.
Especially the part where he used his semen to make the hairstyle. I'm gonna tell you, I'm kind of making up with stuff. I'm starting to go a little bit, losing a little bit of hair in here in this general area. So I kind of spike the other stuff up to make up for it. What else you got?
Why does Roman remind me of a homeless man when I see his face? What?
What's a homeless man's
I don't
face?
know. Probably-
Is it like my beard is very nice and groomed and trimmed and
It's not like guys. I see him every day. He's not like dirty.
yeah, like I shower every
Most
3
of the-
days or so.
most of the time. That's some nasty vinyl paneling on that wall.
I'm
This?
gonna call out our CMO.
This?
So look, so this we had this built right, and these panels were dark. See, like the panels were this color right here, and then Abi comes over and he's like, "No, this is no good. It's too dark." And he buys this cheap ass vinyl stuff and he puts it over these panels. So we're gonna take that down. Whoever mentioned that.
You must be. This is from Watches on My Desk, episode 4. You must be out of your mind to buy this cheap looking crap.
This is Richard Milles. Well, guess what? If you bought those Richard Milles, if you bought those Richard Mille at the time that I did that episode, your money would be
Yeah, thanks.
2.5 times to 3 times higher right now.
What else we got?
And then, I'm gonna skip that one.
Why? Let the people know. This was 2 years ago, man.
Hold on, but here, funny enough, the video reaction I picked today, you're not gonna believe what I picked today. You're gonna love this one. You don't know about this
For
yet.
what?
I know how we do a video reaction usually
Yeah.
on these shows. I picked that very episode. What's on my desk for? Where I talk about Richard Mille and the market prices.
Okay.
All right, and then here's one for you.
How much time do you have to have?
Wait,
Like,
as such, Roman, do you think, in your personal opinion, corn might be a good future investment? F you, Nick. That's one of my guys that works for me. Decided to throw that one out. I know who you are on YouTube, all right? I know exactly who you are on YouTube. This is Watch Wars. Roman is a hype beast, and then it says, "Poor Adrian. This was like watching someone kicking a puppy." So they're referring to the fact that I whooped your ass on
Well,
Watch
actually,
Wars.
no, because I think the general consensus was that I won every Watch Wars. So I don't know what this guy's talking about.
Hey, this is what he said, right?
And the fact that you're.
And then another one for you
kicking a puppy?
is this guy wearing a gorilla costume sweatshirt? I wouldn't buy anything from that guy. This was from
Oh, this is the same. Wait a second. This is the same guy who elephant ears comment.
Yeah, he must really like you. He must really like you.
A big fan of mine.
That wasn't a gorilla costume. Adrian is actually a pretty big guy, and he tends to bulk in the winter, so he puts on about 20 pounds.
No, that's just like a regular Nike vest, dude.
And another guy, in regards to that same sweatshirt, said, "What's this dude wearing? Looks like a Batman costume." This is the part where you go, "I am Batman." Ready?
I am wearing a Batman costume. I had a cape in the back.
Anyway, the guy in the red jacket looks like a wrecker driver and won't shut the fuck up and let the young smart guy talk. Does that happen often? Do you feel like
smart guy? Yes, thank you very much. And yes, you don't let anybody talk. I mean, I thought that was like general knowledge.
It is general knowledge. Yeah. I guess we'll go like. Anyway, so speaking of what's on my desk for, let's do a reaction video on that because this is gonna blow your socks off in terms of pricing and everything else. And I'm gonna let you do most of the talking because that's what you do. You sell Richard.
Wow. The special occasion. Pour it up.
You got a piece of cork in your glass. Hold on.
Am I gonna be?
All right, now you are allowed to talk about what I look like and the production value. Can I drive though? Like I have to drive.
And welcome to another edition of What's on My Desk.
Oh wait.
I knew you were gonna say something.
Oh man. Last edition and a Bubba Japan.
Wait. You're not gonna say anything about my beard?
Look at Richard Mille's on the table. What am I gonna look
I
at
have
your
no
face
beard.
for?
I have no beard.
Yeah, don't care. All right, here we go.
Richard Mille is just a little bit over 10 years old. Someone that has accomplished something that is truly, truly amazing, and that is to take a brand from 0
By the way,
to 100 miles an
this
hour
sound sucks
in just
in
a
this
little
video.
bit over
This is
10
before I
years.
used. This is before I used one of
Everybody
these mics.
loves his watches. The prices on his watches.
There's no lights in my room
First
either.
off, do you remember the Dizzy Hands and the RM33 we had?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
Great deal that was.
And the way that happens, somebody actually buys it at the
Yeah, you do
it's
look
full
funny
pot
with
for the
that
watch.
beard.
And we sell it to you, marks it up $5,000 to $10,000. So, for example, if RM1103 retails for $130,000 today in rose and titanium,
Service says?
expect to pay $135 to $140.
That's nuts.
Wait, RM1103. What did I say the retail was? 120, 35, and I
That's
said
pretty
expect to pay 140.
Yeah.
What do you expect to pay today?
260. Literally double.
And this
In 2
video is
years.
dated January 9, 2018. It's
Wow.
2 years ago.
I'm going to start with the RM11. So the RM11 is the most recognizable and the most popular case shape that Richard Mille makes. It's the classic tonneau shape of a Richard Mille. This is a special edition. This happens to be called the last edition. Since RM11 came out in the V3 or version 3, technically this is the last edition, even though they made a few variations of these, and this is a limited edition of 30 pieces.
What's that go for today, the last edition? If you
I'm
can follow?
I'm just curious as to, did you talk about pricing of that
I
watch
think-
in this
I don't
video?
know.
The last tonneau variation I want to show you is a limited edition Bubba Watson. Now what this happens to be made for the Asian boutique, again, limited edition of 30 pieces. You can see right through the watch.
So I have not seen that
You-
baby. I have not seen that baby blue.
You
in a
probably,
long time.
people would give their pinky for that watch right now.
It's a gorgeous, gorgeous watch. Super popular. They made many variations of it. And they made a limited edition 005 in titanium and in platinum. Back then, the retail on those pieces weren't that high because Richard Mille hasn't gone up with his retail prices just yet. And it was a relative newcomer. Some people liked it. People liked the gimmick, the fact that it was a Phillips Auction watch. And I sold a few. The platinum sold for about $50,000. I believe I sold the titanium for around $20,000. And I sold maybe 2 or 3 of those. Never really paid much attention to it back then. Then they came out with the RM11, which was...
What is a 005 platinum Phillips Auction worth today?
So the platinum never really took off, but obviously going back to our conversation, it's way more than it was 3 years ago. I mean, a platinum Phillips Auction today would fetch for $80,000.
Yeah. And then I sold them new for 50, and then the titanium ones were dogs.
which was their chronograph. It was titanium, rose gold, and white gold. At the time, the retail price on those pieces was somewhere around $70,000 to $80,000, depending on the metal. One of the things that Richard Mille did well, which I absolutely loved, is he didn't differentiate much between the metals. The original RM11 in any metal today will set you back at least 100 grand. So slowly but surely,
How much is an RM11 rose gold today?
175.
White gold?
$150.
Titanium?
145.
$150.
Yeah.
So 50% increase.
a limited edition for the most part, all the Bubba Watsons, they're made in 30, maybe to 50, and there was maybe one edition there were 100 of, and you cannot get them. This watch retails for around 120,000, depending on the variation. You know how much this sells for? 110. Not a hell of a discount on a watch like that.
Oh my
Did you notice
God.
I used the word Baba Watson and discount in the same sentence? So at the time I was showing this video, we were selling that watch for 110. How much would you get for that watch today?
I forget about what I get for it. I would pay $255 for that watch today.
You would buy it for 255.
100%.
So, and I finally, oddly enough, I said not much of a discount. This is when they still discount it. It's insane.
It's insane.
And 3 years.
This watch retails for around 160,000, again, depending on the variation. You know how much it sells for? 160,000, and you'll be lucky to find one.
Oh my God! It sells for retail.
I paid double.
320 you pay?
I paid $320 today.
That's what we're talking about. This is good.
If anybody's listening.
Did you hear the enthusiasm of voice? Guess how much it sells for today? 160. You'd be hard pressed to get a discount.
Yep.
Like there's no such thing today.
Down on this piece. And just to put it in
Note this video is called Richard Mille watches the next bubble, and I said in this video that it's not, and I'm going to get to that part, and I'm going to play.
In perspective, here's an Audemars Piguet Concept GMT, a watch that retails for $215,000 that you can pick up for the same amount of money as this Richard Mille. Now ask yourself a question: which would you rather have, a GMT Concept Tourbillon or a Richard Mille chronograph?
Funny enough, that is no longer 160,000. That's less than 160,000 today. So
that watch actually went down, and
that went down, yeah.
Yeah, those concepts they're
Which is crazy because
insane.
the AP concepts are
insane.
the
But they're
I
just
think
so
they're
big. They're just
incredible.
so big and unwearable.
They're
That's a
big,
big problem with them. But that's when that watch first came out. It was selling for $160. At the same time, you can pick up the last edition for $160.
Yep, the white
And a
one.
lot of guys out there went out and bought these big tourbillons, banking on complications. And now that watch is $320. What do you figure that white concept is today?
The white concept today is it's $155, $150.
Yeah, so it didn't really go anywhere.
The brand is so popular that it can even carry the not so popular pieces to where you're still going to be hard pressed to pick this up cheaper than 30 to 40% off on a secondary market.
30 to 40% off.
Market, of course, same.
What are they going for now?
So that was a 28 rose gold. Today's market is gotta be 85 grand. I've seen 28 roses.
Yeah, we've sold. I remember the roses we sold for $45,000 back then, and it was
that was back then.
right.
45.
But this is 3 years ago, and this was a hard sell at $45,000.
3 years ago.
Yeah, this was a hard sell.
Same goes for the RM33 and the RM63. Again, round pieces, not as popular as the no-shape pieces, but the discount is still not there. If you're lucky, you'll pick these up at 30 to 35% off.
There's no Richard Milles out there today that's at 30 to 35% off. Can we safely say that?
No, there are.
Like what?
There are. The round pieces,
What round pieces?
more or less. The round pieces. A lot of the.
Well, they don't make them anymore. The 63 or the 30.
Well, I mean,
the 33.
you could pick a pre-owned. They still make a lot of 𝘼𝙂𝙀𝙉 3901s and stuff like that are like used. You're not 30 off, but
Small discount.
at a discount you can.
Look, let's just be frank. When we had those round pieces, the Dizzy Hands and the RM33, we bought them as closeouts. So we bought them for less than half price. Yes,
Dizzy Hands was what you like to call a sleeper.
Yeah.
That watch is actually super cool.
Yeah.
You guys get a chance, check out RM6301 Dizzy Hands. Do a little research, pretty cool.
But what are they going for today?
I haven't seen a Dizzy Hands in years.
Yeah, but we actually bought them as a closeout back then. That no longer exists. Could you imagine this? We used to buy Richard
That's
Mille as a
literally like
closeout.
today. It's literally oxymoron. Richard Mille closeout.
There's no such thing.
The RM10, probably the second most popular version of the Richard Mille. Why? Because this is the one that's somewhat affordable. The retail price
Richard Mille, affordable. Did you hear what I said?
prices on these things started around 70 to 80 to 90,000, depending on the metal and the variation, or some limited edition. To be honest with you, I don't even know which limited edition this is at this point. I lost track. However, it's still a super popular watch because it's relatively more affordable. You can pick up an RM10 on the secondary market today, anywhere from $50 to $60, sometimes $70,000, depending.
Can you pick up an RM10 today?
Not for 50.
No.
For
And I don't
sure
think
not.
for 60 either.
No, even the RM10 titanium at its most basic, you will not be able to pick up at 70 today.
Whenever the topic of Richard Mille comes up, two questions are being asked. Is this the next bubble like Patek Philippe was prior to 2008? And
Pay attention here. I called it 3 years ago. I said this is not a bubble, and people
Absolutely.
laughed at me. If you look at the comments in that video, some of the stuff people wrote saying that we won't forget what Richard Mille is in a year. It's just going to crash. It's a big bubble.
What is the major difference between now? Forget about I'm not even talking about economy or anything of that sort. I'm talking about what is the major difference between the struggles of 2008 when Pat crashed and let's say today's situation.
Everything crashed.
What?
Everything crashed. Like, you know, wait, I'm saying
No,
everything
I'm
crashed.
saying why did that bubble crash whereas this one?
Well, because
most
you
likely
actually
won't?
had a real reason for the financial markets to crash. It was a housing crisis. You know,
Right.
so you actually had a real reason.
You're not catching
I'm
my
not,
you're not catching my drift.
Let me take a drink, maybe. Slow down.
Cheers. So I was gonna say, people keep asking me, and I've heard this for years, literally for probably since the first Richard Mille I ever sold, which was in 2014. I've been hearing this is a bubble, because consistently over the years they have gone up. Maybe over the past year or two, it's been a super rapid ascent. However, they have still gone up, and you still hear it today. Bubble, bubble, bubble. It's all gonna burst. Nothing makes sense.
I get that question.
What is the difference today between the bubble bursting, besides the economy, which was definitely the biggest factor? But I think today it's because of social media. If you go on social media, there's so much freaking hype about Richard Mille. Songs, you even see him in like movies and stuff. They're even talking about him now.
They're in the
Every
right place at the
rapper,
right time.
Right place, right time. Social media is just killing it.
I'll
Everybody knows
add
what
to
Richard
that.
Mille is.
I'll
Yeah.
add to that.
Kids know what Richard Mille is.
I agree with everything you just said. But I think the bigger reason, and this is what I literally tell my clients on the phone, you guys that have spoken to me on the phone, have asked me about Richard Mille, you know who you are. What do I say? It's the way the company has set itself in terms of, number one, its distribution. Number two, it's exclusivity, and number three, it's marketing.
Yep.
Right? It's the people they line themselves up. It's where you see these Richard Milles. It's who wears these Richard Milles. It's who the ambassadors are for these Richard Milles. But most of all, we all know the one individual that made this brand what it is today. Not only do they control the regular market, but they also control the gray market. They know every watch they get sold where, how, and what, and for how much. They know exactly what the gray market prices are.
They literally track.
And they track every single watch, and they know exactly what these watches will fetch. You will not walk into any Richard Mille boutique today, unless you're somebody and 5 million followers on Instagram and some kind of celebrity or something. What are you going to see? You're going to see some round pieces, some super complicated, expensive pieces, some ladies' pieces. You will not see a single hot piece on display in any Richard Mille boutique everywhere in the world. And I've been to most of them.
It's the same thing with Patek or Rolex. You won't
Exactly.
See
But that's
same thing.
But it's for the entire brand. You walk into a Patek boutique, you can see a lot of the complications. What don't you see? You don't see Nautiluses and Aquanauts. You see everything else. Here you see nothing. I was last time I was on 57th Street in a boutique. There's 6 slots for 6 watches in the window in the Richard Mille
And there's
boutique.
no slots filled.
There were 3 watches in the window, 3 slots in the window. This is a flagship boutique in New York City. It's insane. Let's see what I had to say about the bubble.
Now let's talk about the bubble question. Is Richard Mille another bubble? If you remember back in 2007, leading up to the financial crisis, Patek Philippe prices were through the roof, and so were vintage Rolexes. And guess what? When the crisis hit, the bubble burst. I don't think Richard Mille is going to have the same faith, and I'll tell you why. Richard Mille is super, super smart in regards to their distribution and in regards to the
Isn't that what I just said?
amount of pieces that they make. The way I, as a secondary market dealer, tell if something is a bubble or not is depending on the amount of goods that are out there. Outside of doing retail sales, my company also does wholesale. So when I'm at a trade show, I pay close attention to what's in other people's showcases and other dealers' showcases. If I walk around the room and I see 15 Richard Milles in everybody's cases, I know there's an issue, because what's happening? They're being traded dealer to dealer, and they're not ending up on customers' risk.
Where today, and again, I use the analogy of saying that, look, when it's just B2B business that's all that's left over and they don't make it onto customer today, these things do still end up making it onto customers' list at insane prices. We have, obviously, we do our fair share of selling these Richard Mille pieces to clients, as well as to dealers who then flip them to clients. I've seen this over and over. People do buy these things, and they pay insane amounts of money.
Absolutely. And they know their money's safe. The most important part.
When that happens, that's when a bubble happens. Well, I'll tell you like this. If you walk into any trade show that I attend, and I attend about 20 a year, from New York all the way out to Hong Kong, you'll be hard-pressed.
You should do 20 shows a year.
Yeah.
How many should do this year?
How many shows did I do this year? 0.
Crazy.
But
Imagine that.
But guess what? Mid-January, we're off to Middle
We
East.
out, baby. We out.
You'll be hard-pressed to find 20 Richard Milles in an entire room of 250 plus dealers. Why? Supply and demand. Richard Mille controls his supply so well and produces so very little pieces.
And this stands true today. 3 years later, it's the same thing. They control the supply and they produce
even more than it was when you were.
It's a lot more than what it was because they're a lot more popular.
That they don't end up sitting around other dealer showcases. They sell and they make it onto customers' wrist. And on top of that, the customers, they buy them, they love them so much that they don't resell them.
That's also true. Guys that buy their Richard Milles, I don't remember the last time where a private called me up and said, hey, I'm tired of this Richard Mille, I want to get rid of it. Trades maybe, but nobody, I don't remember the last time anybody called me and said, hey, I don't want this Richard Mille.
I hit up, retail clients that I've sold Richard Milles to.
It's okay, it's time to sell. You can make a 30% profit. They don't want to sell.
So in conclusion, so long as Richard Mille continues doing what he's doing in terms of his supply, in terms of making avant-garde pieces and beautiful watches, there will be no bubble. They will only continue climbing up in price and ending up on customers' wrists. So I hope you enjoyed.
What's the opposite of a bubble, Roman? What do you call the opposite of a bubble? I don't have the answer. I'm asking.
I don't know. What's an opposite? I don't know what an opposite of a bobble is, but we're going to wrap the show up because it's been a minute. I'll take another drink. Guys, I'm going to thank you for joining us. But I will say before I go, I told you so, right? And it's right there on camera, on record 3 years ago. There was another follow-up market update video that we should also react to in between this and today. We threw a lot more prices.
Pricing?
Yeah, just to quickly go through the pricing. But bottom line is I said it 3 years ago. I said it 2 years ago, and here we are today. Could it take some kind of a major world event for all to go down? But it's not just going to, if that happens, it's not just going to be Richard Mille, it's going to be everything across the board.
God forbid. I know 2021 is going to be a much better year for us, and I know it's going to be a much better year for everybody.
It cannot get any worse than 2020.
No.
And you know what? I know a lot of you guys have said, I can't wait for 2020 to be over. Well, 2020 is over. We wanted to wish you guys a very happy new year. We wanted to thank you for putting up with us every week on your screens. It's been I can't say it's been a great year because
mostly him, because I'm only here once a week, so.
Well,
thank you guys for putting up with him.
We're going to change that a little bit next year. But look, overall, it's been a shitty year.
For a lot of people,
so I'm kind of happy to see 2020 go. Are you not happy?
Shit.
So here's to 2020. Goodbye, 2020. Hello, 2021.
I'm running out here.
You drink too much.
As our viewers say.
So, you 2020. It's time for you to go.
You
Here's to a great 2021. Cheers, guys, and Happy New Year.